If you're just tuning in, we're doing an audience-free version of the show tonight due to the coronavirus. We didn't want to be responsible for getting anyone sick. The only sick I ever want to be responsible for is my sick moves on my skateboard. Try me, Tony Hawk, I'll break you like a Kit Kat bar. Now, obviously, we're all worried right now, but if there's one thing I'm grateful for, it's how we're all still acting totally normal.
Fear of coronavirus is leading to panic buying and empty store shelves all across the country. Shoppers are stocking up on supplies like disinfectant wipes and hand sanitizers, water, even toilet paper.
At this point, I've hoarded so much toilet paper, I could wipe every muddy ass on the Upper West Side twice. But while some people are free to work from home, others are acutely at risk. As COVID-19 spreads, the demand for The demand for gig-based workers is increasing, but all that business comes at a cost. At least 3 Uber drivers have come in contact with passengers believed to have been infected, and the fear of catching coronavirus is prompting drivers to deal with it in creative ways.
One rider who wants to go by Will shared this picture right here on social media. Shows the driver completely surrounded by a plastic sheet to possibly protect him from COVID-19. So we caught up with Will, who's visiting from Austin for work.
It seems pretty clear the reason that rider wants to go by Will is because work is just him visiting his side family in New York. Yet, despite all its dangers, the gig economy can seem pretty attractive. You don't have to go to an office, you get to make your own hours, and if you handle food, you get to take a tiny little bite out of each sandwich you deliver. In fact, the gig economy is now so big that there are services for pet care, moving, cooking, lawn care, car maintenance, nursing, massage, and even a home cleaning and repair service called Handy. That's right, Handy. It's not just a name, it's also a way to say thank you after getting a ride home from your Toronto improv class. The downside of working for a company like Uber or Lyft comes down to 2 words: independent contractor. When you hire official employees, you need to pay for things like health insurance, overtime, sick leave, and workers' comp. But if you hire independent contractors, all you need are excited workers and the dark, dark soul of the bad guy from Newsies, Joseph Pulitzer. And then the added expense of equipment. Uber and Lyft expect drivers to own or rent their own cars, while Handy expects you to buy a whole Home Depot.
To make sure your first job goes well, it helps to be prepared ahead of time. A vacuum, broom or dust mop, a bucket, rags, microfiber cloths or paper towels, a duster, gloves, and cleaning solutions for all surfaces.
The only person who already has all of these items on hand before taking a job wouldn't be there to clean. They'd be there to murder you. And I hope you don't like a living wage, because you're definitely not getting that with Uber. After vehicle expenses, the median Uber driver earns less than $10 an hour, including tips, which is barely enough to cover your car in plague-resistant plastic. But at least Uber lets its drivers keep their tips. Before public outcry, both DoorDash and Instacart had policies that essentially stole tips from their workers. That's why, to be safe, I always tip my delivery guys in compliments. They hate it. But for pure dystopian awfulness, one gig company deserves special attention. Amazon's Mechanical Turk, a service where you can hire humans to do tasks that computers aren't good at. Turkers might find themselves transcribing people's social security numbers, reviewing videos of botched surgery, or tagging photos of actual beheadings. To make matters somehow even worse, most tasks pay 10 cents or less, and many pay as little as a penny. But on the bright side, they can string together enough tasks to make a median wage of $1.77 an hour. That's lower than in 1975, when the federal minimum wage was $2.10 an hour. Things were simpler back in 1975. The nights were hot, the cocaine was pure, and I was 5. The gig economy often mistreats its workers, but there are reasons to be cautiously hopeful about the future. New York City passed a minimum pay rate for Uber and Lyft drivers, and California has a new law classifying many gig workers as official employees. Of course, you can tell that law would help the working class, because Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash have launched a $90 million fight against it. But judging from DoorDash's history, it probably swiped all that money and carried it out in a bunch of heat-safe insulated bags. Even Uber is doing the bare minimum by allowing drivers with coronavirus to take 2 paid weeks off. off. Though they should really update the apps to reflect that. I just ordered a car and it says my driver is 16 days away. All of these changes are a good start, but that's all they are, a start. Gig economy workers and other contractors deserve the same wages and protections as any employee. In a time when we're all hoarding food, toilet paper, and supplies, maybe we could take a second to think about supporting people delivering those things to us. After all, they're the people who don't judge us when we order one single McFlurry. We need that.